This week on Performance TV, we're revving up horsepower on the dyno. But before that, Dave and Robert show us some tips and tricks for maintaining our diesel trucks. Next on Performance TV.
Welcome to Performance TV. Today we've got a Ford F-250 with a 7.3 liter Power Stroke in it. We've already removed a bunch of parts. We're going to do some routine maintenance that's going to help guarantee that you maintain the performance of the vehicle. Today I've got with me Ken Irwin from Riffraff Diesel Performance. Hey Ken, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good. All right, so what are we going to do first with this fuel bowl?
We're going to do a basic overhaul on the fuel bowl kit. Basically, it's a seal replacement. And what we have is after several years of driving around, these seals get kind of hard and old, and they begin to start leaking. Cause a lot of problems, and that people have to take them into the shops to get them rebuilt, but it's really easy. It's a really low-cost kit to do, and easy to do in your own yard. All right, so we've already removed some of the parts here inside the fuel bowl. We have the check valve. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come through here and pull these O-rings off. And the good thing is with the kit we sell, it's all labeled on here for you. So the valve tower, you just take the new one, put the old one on it.
That's nice. So what you do is you take your kit apart, you match up all your O-rings, and then it tells you exactly which one goes where.
Correct. And then set that on there. And there's one other little O-ring on this plunger.
Well, I can see that a curved pick is pretty necessary, huh?
It is. It works really good because then you're not pulling on the O-ring or tearing them.
Okay. Now, is it good to grease these O-rings before you put them on?
You don't need to. The fuel's going to lubricate them pretty well.
Okay.
So you should be good. You can put the back together. You put the pin through there, and you allow that to line back up, and then you can put this back on, and then we can install that back in once we're done.
Okay, what other O-rings are there?
The next O-rings you want to do, this is the most common leak item here, is the drain valve. This is how you drain the fuel when you're going to do your filter changes. There's some Torx screws. Very simple, just take these out. And this is, again, probably the most common item on the truck that will leak.
At about how many miles should I be looking at this?
As far as mileage goes, depending on how you drive, I would say definitely within, the 150,000 range. It's something it's a good preventative maintenance action to take.
Okay. So this truck behind us has 300,000 miles on it.
300,000.
It's high time to
definitely
get this rebuilt.
do. And when we pull these O-rings out, you will see how deformed they really are from just being years of being put together. So the valve, like I said, the 4 bolts are out. It just kind of pops off and slides out, and now you have your handle. That handle is keyed into the valve itself.
So I can't put it on incorrectly.
Correct. And as you can see, that's actually an O-ring.
Oh my gosh, it's destroyed.
They're definitely mashed in there. So what you do now is, the easiest way to do it is just get that hook tool under there again. And now you can really see the difference in, it looks like a square.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yes. Easy way to do this is I always rotate a little bit and then get the tool in there, and you can pop this out usually. Sometimes you have to pull the pliers.
Now, is that something I need to take out to change these rings?
Yeah, there's another O-ring in here.
Boy, that takes a little bit of effort to get that.
It does.
Sometimes, doesn't it?
There it goes. So this O-ring here, and this is a 2-piece valve. It's meant to do that. So this O-ring here, same thing. There, got it. This is the actual O-ring that, there's a tube underneath the truck off the engine that this line hooks to, and this goes into it.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and put the rest of the O-rings back on this. We'll put the fuel bolt back in the truck. We'll have more Performance TV right after this.
This edition of Performance TV is being brought to you by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. U.S. Specialty Vehicles, you know you want one. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Performance TV. We've taken our PB blaster, we've loosened up our fuel plugs. Now, one of the things that Ken has done here is installed a fuel rail crossover on the fuel bowl. We've done that before we put it back in the car. It's a little bit easier. Now, Ken, tell me what this is going to do for us.
So what the Riffraff diesel fuel rail crossover does is it eliminates the deadhead in the fuel system. So basically the fuel comes out of these two ports. One goes to the passenger side fuel rail on the head, and the other one goes on the driver's side. That fuel has nowhere to go other than through the injectors. So what we've done is we've removed a plug in that rail that the factory's put in there, and we now attach these hoses to it. These hoses will now allow that trapped air to be expelled through the fuel rail crossover and back into the fuel tank, so the air doesn't have to go through the injectors. It really reduces the cackle of the injectors.
So Ken, why don't you show me how this goes in the car?
So the fuel bowl goes back in, and it attaches directly to the high pressure oil pump reservoir, like so. I've already replaced the seals on the fuel lines, so we have those new in there now, and that connects to there. So once we get this all hooked back up, the good thing to do now though is to route your fuel lines for the FRX. What we do is on the driver's side, we run it down underneath the turbo, like so. And on the passenger side one, it comes around and coils and ties into here where we're gonna put the fitting.
Okay, I see how that works.
So that's where the fitting's gonna go, and that's this fitting that we supply all the parts for. So you just remove that. We have a tool. It's a 8-point socket that we sell, put that in there, and that fitting goes into there. And this is a standard, doesn't require any O-rings or seals. It's a standard flare fitting. Once you put it in there, tightens down, it's rated for everything. 3,000 PSI, no problem.
Well, with 3,000 PSI, we got to make sure we have that not cross-threaded and installed properly, I'm sure.
Right. The fuel system only runs at about 75 PSI is the max, so you'll never have to worry about that.
Okay, that's good to know. So Ken, what's the importance of the pressure regulator?
So the pressure regulator gets the fuel pressure at a usable level. The pump puts out well over 100 PSI. We bring it into the fuel bowl. We don't want 100 PSI going everywhere, so what we have is they have it regulated down. The factory fuel pressure is around 50 PSI. We have the 3 springs that allow you to choose which level you want it to do up to about 70 PSI. We always recommend the gold spring, and that's what I've installed in this one.
Okay, so this vehicle has high-performance injectors in it. How is that going to work in conjunction with my 150 horsepower injectors?
So the more pressure and the better fuel you get to the injectors is you're always having fuel in the fuel rail. So whenever the injector needs the fuel, it automatically takes it in and allows it, you know, it's always available. If you have low pressure, say 30, 40 PSI, you won't have enough fuel to feed the injectors, especially with the bigger, larger injectors.
So if I stud my heads, if I put my injectors, high-performance injectors and all that kind of stuff, this is really a necessary component.
It's definitely a great component, especially because it's going to keep the long life of your injectors better, not having that cackle and not having air go into the heads.
So Ken, what are we going to do next?
So once we get the install of the fuel bowl done, then we're going to put new boots on all our intercooler pipes. We have our Riffraff diesel intercooler boots. So one before we do that, we want to put the plenum inserts in. The plenums on these trucks are very thin wall and they bend, and as you can see, this one right here is already bent.
Yes, I see that.
So the inserts that we'll put in there will sleeve that up and makes it strong. They're made out of billet aluminum. So what they will do is allow you to clamp down. You will never deform these plenums again.
So you heard it direct from Ken from Riffraff. Now we'll be back with more Performance TV, but check this out first.
Welcome to the Evapo-Rust tip of the week. Sometimes you're running short on time, and we have a great solution when you're using Evapo-Rust. You can use an ultrasonic or even raise the temperature of Evapo-Rust to shorten the time on your project.
Yeah, a lot of times you say you come to the end of a project and you need that certain bolt and it's rusty. Now what are you going to do? You want to put it together now. You don't want to wait overnight for Evapo-Rust. So the thing that you want to do here is maybe invest in one of these ultrasonics. They have a heater on them, and they have an ultrasonic setting which pounds the liquid with the sound waves. You can hear the sound waves firing through this. We'll throw a few bolts in here to kind of give you an idea how it works. And you can already see rust is just pouring off of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'll hold this one in my hand,
Very cool.
kind of blow the bubbles out of the way.
Yeah.
You can see there,
It's just melting off of there.
melts as you watch.
Yeah.
It's fast, it really gets after it. In fact, we can pull it out there and you can see there's a lot of
Whoa.
rust
It's already come off.
has already come off.
That is super easy.
It really is. It's good to have on your workshop counter. Save it, keep it full of Evapo-Rust. When you're not using it, put the lid back on it. Use it over and over and over. So if you want to learn more about how to use Evapo-Rust like this, check out our website, evaporust.com.
Now we'll be back with more Performance TV right after this.
Performance TV coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Well, it looks like everything's working really good. Welcome back to Performance TV. We're going to finish up on our maintenance of our truck here. What's next for us?
So the next items we'd like to do is before we install our intercooler pipes, we're going to put our Riffraff diesel plenum inserts in. These are a machined aluminum insert that slides inside the plenum. And what that does is it stiffens up the plenum. They're really prone to collapsing if you tighten the clamps down too tight.
Oh, I see.
And you don't realize it, and then what'll happen is you'll lose a boot. It'll blow off basically under the boost.
Oh, okay.
So then we have our new boots.
Okay.
These boots are heavier gauge than the factory ones,
Yeah,
so they're a lot better, and they'll last a lot longer. We put the clamps on that'll hold them tight. The other item that everybody should look at doing is the high pressure oil pump hoses. These are quick disconnect hoses. They're very easy to change out. Really good maintenance item. Several years old on a vehicle. They break down. They are just a hose, and basically it's good to replace them when you're doing this kind of work. It's really low, cheap insurance.
How much pressure is running through those hoses?
3,000 PSI can run through those.
3,000. And how much is running through these hoses?
Your boost on a stock truck's around 20 to 22 PSI. Going up to a performance truck, these will handle easily well over 40.
Okay. All right, well, let's get this stuff installed and see how she looks.
All right, thanks.
All right, what are we going to be doing next?
Now we're going to install the plenum inserts
Okay.
into the plenums. As you see on the plenums, they're pretty thin metal.
Yeah, real thin.
Yeah, and they deform, and you can see right here, this one's actually deformed from somebody tightening down the clamp too tight. And what that does is crushes it in again, and now that puts a taper and allows the boots to fall off a lot easier and also damages them. So these plenum inserts are designed with a taper in them, and you just basically use a hammer and you just put them in place.
So it just slides in nice and easy.
Just slides in. You'll have to use a little bit of, a hammer on it, but you get it started nice and square.
Okay.
And you don't even have to really rework the flange of the plenum.
Oh,
The hammer and just the normal action of it going in will straighten it out and make it true and round.
I see.
So now that it's in place like that, you can just come through and start tapping it in, and you kind of work it around and make sure you get it set.
Okay.
And then take a block of wood,
All right.
and you can get on the plenum insert like so, and then you can just start driving them in place.
All right. So what kind of air pressure is coming through this?
So this is standard boost pressure. Like I said, on a stock truck around 22 PSI, but on a modified truck or aftermarket turbos, 30, 40, 50 PSI. And now you can see they're fully installed. There's no gap around them.
Right.
And they're nice and heavy duty now, and they're definitely reinforced.
Totally flushed. And now it's not going to collapse when I'm tightening it. And I don't have
Correct.
to worry about my hoses blowing off.
Right. And the clamps that we use when you put your new boots on, these boots will go on, and then we'll use the T-bolt clamps, like so.
Gotcha.
And when those go down over it, it'll definitely be nice and tight, and you won't have to worry about that ever collapsing again.
And the T-bolt, that's a lot stronger clamp and stainless steel.
Correct. It's a more even pressure that goes around the clamp instead of the worm drive clamps that were normally there from the factory. So the next step is we'll put the other one in,
Okay.
and then we'll be able to install the spider,
Okay.
which hooks to the turbo and ties into your boots here.
I see.
And then we can finalize install and put the intercooler tubes in.
All right. And then we put our hoses on, and then we're ready to rock pretty much.
Yeah, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put our new boots on.
Okay.
So we can just pre-stage the clamp, put it over that,
Gotcha.
and now the next thing to do is we'll put our intake spider in.
Okay.
And then hook that up. And then we'll also put the other two clamps
All right.
oriented the same way.
I see. Everything's looking good.
And then it's ready for the install.
But we're going to be done with this in just a bit, but don't you go anywhere because we've got more Performance TV for you right after this.
This edition of Performance TV is being brought to you by Evapo-Rust, super safe rust remover. Full Force Diesel, diesel products that get results. Carcoon USA, the ultimate automobile storage system. And by zMAX, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system.
Welcome back to Performance TV. We're going to talk about some real hot street performance right now. I've got Charlie Watson over here from Lebanon Ford Performance. They've figured out how to put together a Mustang with 727 horsepower, isn't that correct?
That's right.
And that's all for just under $40,000?
Yes, sir.
That's incredible. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so basically what we're doing is we're starting with what's called a 300A Build Code GT. So it's a base GT, and we're adding a Roush Phase 1 or Phase 2 supercharger and selling it all for less than $40,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome.
All right, and can I buy this package separately, or is this all together? How's this work?
Yeah, so the thing that makes this package in particular so successful and so popular is the fact that a person can come in and not shell out the $9,000 to supercharge their car. If you're in that position and you're ready to do that, we absolutely can, but this is so attractive because you could literally come in and incorporate all of this into your car payment. So it's a really cool opportunity.
Now, we've got one of your performance technicians here, Ryan Donahue. Ryan, why don't you come over and tell us a little bit about this package?
Sure. Down here we have some of the hardware that's involved in installing the supercharger kit. Also some wiring that's required for extending the harness and modifying some of the inputs that are existing on the vehicle for the new system that's reprogrammed. We also have higher rate injectors, 47 pounds, a new throttle body, 60 millimeter, and a new intake manifold.
This looks like the intercooler's built right into it, is that correct?
Yes, it's got an intercooler system, all water, or coolant system, with a electric pump. So it's all standalone system.
And this is one hot looking supercharger. Can we look at the bottom of it and see what it looks like?
This is a Roush TVS 2300 supercharger.
Holy cow, look at that. Boy, I bet that's fantastic. So tell me about how important is it to have the intercooler when you're using a supercharger?
It's very important. Supercharger creates a lot of heat. So removing the heat is very important to keep the air cool and dense to create the power that's required.
Okay, so once again, I can bring in my car that I just bought last week from some other dealership, and you guys can soup it up for me. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Boy, you guys have really done something fantastic here. So if somebody wants more information, they can go to 727mustang.com. Is that right?
That's right.
You know, Lebanon Ford has actually been a dealership for a long time. We asked Lisa Kreider, the owner, why she changed into Lebanon Ford Performance.
Well, that's a great question, Robert. Several years back, this team of young individuals who certainly have a passion for performance presented an idea, and it turned into Roush, which turned into lifted trucks, which turned into full automotive personalization. And here we are today at Lebanon Ford Performance.
Wow, Charlie, you work for quite a lady. Now tell me something. I want to see what this thing's actually going to do on a dyno. Do you expect it to do 727 horsepower on our dyno?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely think it's going to translate to 727 to the crank, and what we're looking for is rear wheel horsepower. And we're going to run it in fourth gear, actually, just because this car, the way it's set up, has a 331 gear. And so if we run the car in fifth, we're going to hit the speed limiter. It's going to cut us early. So we're going to run in fourth. If we can do high fives to low sixes, we're going to hit a home run. So it's going to be good.
Got it. Okay, we're going to take this thing down to the dyno, but first, check this out.
This week on the zMAX Micro Lubricant Minute, Tommy, we're going to take it to the skies because zMAX offers something for any type of piston engine, even for airplanes.
I tell you what, Kathy, I thought it was for my vehicle, my truck, my car, my boat, my lawnmower, but they have AvBlend. It's for the aircraft. It's for a piston engine aircraft that's going to penetrate the metal, same as it does in your vehicle. But on an airplane, it's a whole lot more important.
Absolutely, yeah. You definitely don't want an engine failure when you're up in the skies. And as Tommy mentioned, for a piston engine, so say for an example with our AvBlend, which is FAA approved, You can use this for a 4-cylinder engine, 4 to 8 quarts. This 12-ounce bottle is going to cover it for like every 25-hour oil change. And something else to keep in mind, when you start up a lot of these airplane engines, it takes up to a minute for the oil, because it's a little bit heavier oil, to get up to the important parts. Once you've used zMAX, the AvBlend product, it's penetrated the metal, so it's protected.
That's right. It's not an oil additive. It's actually penetrating the metal, making that a smoother surface and be lubricated better.
I mean, you know what? Something for everything, and even for the guns. They have a great 2-pack product.
That's right. You know, automotive enthusiasts, well, we also have other hobbies, one of them being guns.
Right.
They have a gun treatment. It's going to, there's a lot of heat, a lot of temperature change in a gun, a lot of friction. So why not use zMAX micro lubricant gun treatment? It's going to make that gun run smooth. You're not going to have the jams. The zMAX gun treatment will help reduce that. It's going to penetrate the metal of your gun just like it does in your engine. And you get out there, it's going to reduce the time cleaning your gun because the buildup is not going to be there as well.
That's right. The bolt lube and the bore cleaner and conditioner will definitely keep your guns running a lot smoother. You want to find out more? Just hop on their website at zMAX.com.
Well, we're down here in our dyno testing center. Let's see what this thing will do. Holy cow, 601 horsepower. Is that what you were expecting?
Yeah, that's exactly where we figured it would be. Now this car, the way it's set up, has a 331 gear. So what that means, the 5th gear is the 1-to-1 gear for the car, but it goes actually too fast on the dyno, hit the speed limiter, so we had to run in 4th, which is a disadvantage. But at 601 in 4th, we expect the car to put down 630 to 640 in 5th, which translates closer to 750 horsepower. So it's a big win. It's good.
That's incredible. It's amazing what you can get these days for under $40,000. Well, that's all the time we have this week, folks. Be sure to tune in next week for more Performance TV.